What's going on, you wild bounty hunters? Logan Myers and my good mate here, the Mandalorian himself.
Mando Hill.
Mando Hill in the house tonight. We're going to be talking about the Mandalorian, the first 2 episodes of season 2, and things are about to get wild.
In the eyes of a ranger.
So we have the Mandalorian returning to Disney Plus streaming service. It returned on October 30th. There was a nice little Halloween treat that we got. The first episode titled The Marshal, episode 9, episode 9, The Marshal. We get the introduction of Timothy Olyphant's character, and this is like a straight up Wild West space adventure, much like the first movie. Reminded me much of the first movie, obviously them returning to Tatooine and then getting introduced to the marshal himself. So we got introduced to Cobb Vanth, which is the marshal of the town. And it's really cool setup. He's wearing Boba Fett's armor and suit. And so we're like, oh, what's going to go on with Boba Fett? And then we get a little glimpse of that at the very end of the episode. But it's really cool seeing Timothy Olyphant playing a cowboy. That's what he's known for with Justified. And then obviously Deadwood, Seth Bullock. And we also had another character from Deadwood in this episode as a cameo.
W. Earl Brown. He's had longer black hair in the show and the mustache and the goatee. W.
Earl Brown. Yeah, he had a cameo in the first episode as well. He was like the bartender of this town in Tatooine. And really cool setup. It has a really awesome Western feel to it, Wild West feel to it. It's the good, the bad, the ugly kind of vibe to it. Clint Eastwood to show up and start kicking some ass, but a really great first episode. It was like an hour and some change. Like it was pretty long, if I remember correctly. And
I think it was just under an hour, but I believe that's the longest episode to date, unless the pilot was. But it was pretty close to an hour.
The longest one, and it went by super fast. Like I really got into this episode more than the second episode. Really great adventure, really great writing. I like what they do with these characters, introducing Timothy Olyphant's character and then where they end up going, which leads to some characters we're all familiar with from the original Star Wars movie, being the Tusken Raiders show up in this episode, which is really cool.
It was really cool seeing them and seeing more of them, like getting more in depth, and they talk to the creatures more in this, like you hear their native languages. It's just nice to have this serialized version of Star Wars, because you can actually let's look what happens like during the day here. Like we only see them in glimpses in the movie. Let's actually get the characters a little fleshed out. And it was pretty cool to see all those old characters come in. Yeah. There were a lot of throwbacks in the first episode. We saw Cobb Vanth's, when they're riding in the desert on their vehicles. I think Cobb Vanth says one of the speeders from the Phantom Menace, like what Anakin was driving, he's going along on that. So I think that was the first little nod to the franchise that I noticed. And there was a bunch throughout the episode, like you said.
A lot of nods and throwbacks to A New Hope and other movies. Some to the third movie, Return of the Jedi, too, in the second episode. So there's a lot of throwbacks. You just got to kind of watch out for them. We don't have to talk about all of them, but there's definitely a lot there. A lot of treats for Star Wars fans of the original films.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, this first episode was full of, it made you feel like you were watching a Western, like you mentioned. And actually during one scene in the episode, it changes the aspect ratio, which was what like the Sergio Leone Westerns were known to do. So there was a nice little callback to that Jon Favreau did, because Jon Favreau directed the episode. So yeah, that was cool to see. Just embrace the whole like Western like heist. It was a really cool episode. So basically, Mando wants the armor, the Boba Fett armor, and he wants the rocket pack and everything. And Timothy Olyphant's character, the Marshal, he says, "All right, you want the armor? Help me defeat this great dragon that's going through the desert here, causing all this destruction in my town. It's been causing all this, chaos for years, and he wants to end it. With Mando's help." So Mando's like, "Okay, I'll help you." So they have this whole scene in the desert where they have to try to take out this huge, basically like one of the Tremors worms, like gigantic creatures is underground. Yeah.
They have to get together, they have to make peace with the Tusken Raiders. Those are the enemy essentially of the people in Tatooine, the Marshals. So they have to make peace with these people and work together and stop the Krayt Dragon. It sets up the third act, the final scenes of the episode, which are absolutely fantastic. The CGI is really, really well done. It looks like out of Dune or, Tremors or something like that, but it was just really well done. And seeing what happens and how Timothy Olyphant's character and then Mando work together to stop it's pretty cool.
It was a very cool scene, like we were talking about, with how they utilize Boba Fett's jetpack to like escape, and it was just really cool. And seeing those two work together, it's Mando in a suit, so it's Pedro Pascal, but not really. It's probably a stunt man, but just seeing Timothy Olyphant and him team up in the desert was pretty epic. Like you mentioned, especially with Timothy Olyphant, known for playing marshals. I mean, he's played in Justified. He was a Texas Marshal. And then, of course, he was in Deadwood, Seth Bullock. So he nails that role every time. He has the bravado. He's like the perfect throwback to your Western movie, and added a lot to this episode. And I hope to revisit that character sometime in the future.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Cobb Vanth, but I don't think this is the last time we're going to see him. I think he's going to be showing up later in season 2, leading up to probably like a big cliffhanger or something they'll do with season 2. But this is not the last time we're going to see this character. Loved him in this role. One of the best parts of the episode for sure. Just love the whole atmosphere of this episode. A lot of the cameos, people showing up. John Leguizamo. We were saying that other guy from Deadwood and a few other people show up, in Star Wars or in the Mandalorian episodes. They always have a lot of people doing cameos. You don't even realize it because they're like in makeup or stormtrooper or something like that. A really phenomenal episode. Jon Favreau directing this. He's a really, really phenomenal director. And this one is definitely a lot better in terms of directing compared to episode 2. The Marshal was definitely kick-ass way to start the season right on Halloween and kind of where they're going with this character this season.
It was definitely a very strong start to the season. It instantly hooked you. And I can't wait to see where it goes from here with the whole story of, trying to find out where Baby Yoda comes from. Like, where's the rest of the child's kind? Are we going to learn more about that whole species? And, we know a little bit from Yoda, of course, but like, how is the child related to Yoda? Is it like direct lineage, or is it just happen to be just a random creature from that species? So I'm very interested to find out where it goes. And it's cool going back to Tatooine and, things from the original trilogy. Like you said, it was awesome to veer back into that. And this season's going to be really exciting to find out, about Baby Yoda. Hopefully we'll get some answers before it's all said and done. Hopefully it's not just string you along for another year. So I think they'll give us some answers.
They definitely will. That's what I was thinking. The end of season 2, we're going to find out more about Baby Yoda species, where they're from, how many more of them there are, and I think more about Baby Yoda. It's going to leave us on a cliffhanger. That's my prediction, and I'm excited because I absolutely love Baby Yoda and the child. Sorry, and I just love his character. He's like the father son, relationship between the Mandalorian, Mando, and Baby Yoda. It's funny. He's like the dad, and Baby Yoda's always getting into shit and getting into trouble. He's like, time for a nap, like picks him up. I just love the relationship in the show, and it's really well done. I just wish they would have made the Star Wars movies, the newer ones, like the Mandalorian, just more fleshed out characters and just had the original atmosphere of the original films.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, this show's pretty much the perfect blend of everything that you'd want in a Star Wars movie. But I'm glad it's on TV. I mean, instead of we get a 2-hour movie, or do you get how many ever hours we're going to get a season, and how much, this show could go on for quite a long time if it wanted to. But just a huge budget. They're putting all the money into it. It's got the heart. It's got Baby Yoda, like you said. Always mischievous, getting into trouble.
At the end of the first episode, we get a glimpse of Boba Fett without obviously the armor. So that was kind of cool. So I, thinking that him and the Mandalorian are going to go at it, a duel fight sometime this season. They're going to meet up. And it was cool getting a nice little glimpse of Boba Fett at the very end.
Yeah. And when they're, after they, they're fighting the Krayt on, and they end up defeating it. It was kind of cool to relate that to Boba Fett too, because that's kind of, in the Sarlacc pit when he ends up falling in the creature's mouth, and you think
Yeah.
he gets eaten, but obviously that armor saved him somehow. So it'll be nice to maybe get the story directly from him of what happened, like how he escaped and all that during Return of the Jedi, because they've been dangling that for years now. Where's Boba Fett? Is he dead really? And now now it's finally like, no, actually the armor saved them. So it'll be cool to see. Yeah, he's obviously going to be coming after, he knows Mando has his old armor. He kind of knows what's going on. So he's going to be chasing him. Yeah, it'll be cool to see those two team up and see what happens between them, seeing that dynamic and how that conflict's going to be resolved, and if they're going to work together or what's going to happen. Yeah, who knows? I think he'll have something to do with ultimately the end game of finding out about the child. And
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to do with the child, but they can go about it in different ways. They can go about them being enemies or them working together, maybe going against Grief Karga towards the end of the season, which is Giancarlo Esposito's character, which is an awesome villain. So they can go about it in a lot of different ways. So I'm pretty interested to see what they do with Boba Fett.
Me too, for sure. Yeah, that's a very interesting piece of the puzzle, and I can't wait to see. I think we'll probably get to see him again before the season's out. Probably the finale, I'm guessing we'll see him again, because I have a feeling they're going to want to tease along some of these things. They're not going to give us everything all at once. They're already talking about filming season 3. So, and there's been rumors lately of actually Boba Fett getting his own spinoff show. So, who knows what'll happen really.
Yeah, they know people are going to watch and they're going to keep putting out shows, and I'm on board with that. I want to keep seeing these characters in their standalone spin-off shows, and like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm like, put it out in Disney Plus, I'll watch it. It's going to be better than the movie anyways.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we mentioned, you get an hour every week as opposed to just 2-hour movie. It's just a better format. TV's, especially with COVID times, TV shows have eclipsed movies, at least, what they can, as far as what they can do, really powerfully, like get you involved and invested in many hours, and then you can really like get to know these characters. It's awesome. So yeah, I can't wait to see where everything goes from here. And also there's news of a female-led spinoff with the whole, female characters in it from a female director and writers and everything. So that'll be pretty interesting because we haven't really seen that. We've seen obviously some females in the show. Leia, obviously the strongest character, but it'll be cool to see something. Yeah, and Rey, of course. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like what kind of stories they'll come up with, and if the characters are likable. Oh yeah, and we should also mention Urso from Rogue One, Jyn Urso, I think her name was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another strong female character. So yeah, we have a lot of spin-offs to look forward to for sure from The Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of Star Wars, and I'm okay with that. It's in good hands. So for the Marshall, the first episode of season 2, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5 Baby Yoda hair pieces. What are you gonna give the first episode?
And I'm gonna give it a strong 5 out of 5.
Whoa! Perfect score there, sport.
Mandalorian hair pieces. Hello, it's me, Pedro Pascal.
A really good first episode of the season, kicking it off, and then episode 2 is titled
The Passenger.
The Passenger. What is this? Deftones?
No, it's actually that.
Maynard?
I can't think of the band. Yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
Passenger.
Yeah. I'm your passenger. Yeah. Oh shit. But anyways, yeah. The title of the second episode, The Passenger. So in this episode, it's the continuation of the story. Mando's trying to find answers to Yoda. He has to go find these other Mandalorians, hopefully, that'll provide some more answers. From the first episode, when Mando went to Tatooine, he met up with this lady in Mos Eisley. Her name is Peli Motto, played by the comedian Amy Sedaris. And, she kind of gives him some information on where he can look to find answers and everything. So in the second episode, he ends up meeting back with her after the whole Crate Dragon, him and Cobb Vanth in the first episode. Here's where you can check out, fly to this place, but you have to take this passenger here. And it's an amphibian creature of some sort, almost like a frog.
Frog
or,
lady.
Some sort of lizard or, yeah.
I think it's called Frog Lady.
Frog Lady, yeah. So yeah, it's a frog creature, and it's holding like this clear jar of, and there's a bunch of like eggs in it. So throughout the episode, like you were mentioning earlier, Baby Yoda's getting in a lot of mischievous trouble, getting into everything, and he keeps stealing the eggs out of the jar, like when she's sleeping or not looking. And Mando catches him a couple times, and he's like eating the eyeball. And then it'll be showing Baby Yoda like throughout this episode walking, and then he'll just like pull out of his pocket randomly like one of the eggs that he stole again after he's been yelled at by Mando a few times. It's pretty funny, the whole father son dynamic between the child and Mando.
Yeah, seriously, he's got to keep his eyes on Baby Yoda, the child, all the time because he gets into trouble. He kept eating those, and that's Frog Lady's children, so he's eating them. And that was like the big controversy was with episode 2 is Baby Yoda, he's a killer. He's eating all the eggs, but it was the ongoing bit. It was funny throughout the episode, and it really caused some issues towards the end. I guess towards the end of the episode when they are at that frozen planet. But basically, they're in their Razor Crest, which is the ship. They're flying, and then they get pulled over by New Republic X-wing pilots.
That was really cool to see those.
Yeah,
X-wings come up and everything. Yeah,
like we were saying earlier, throwbacks to the original movies. So he gets pulled over in the ship, and then basically doesn't he crash? And then he falls through like this kind of glacier, and it looks like the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. It's like a frozen planet, with ice and snow and shit like that. And it crashes, and they, trying to get out of the situation. And it really sets up the rest of the episode with Baby Yoda eating more of the eggs, and we finding out what's on this planet. And without spoiling too much, it's pretty awesome.
It was really cool. Yeah, like you mentioned, they ended up, he's flying the ship or whatever, and the X-wings come up, so he's trying to get away from them. So he ends up doing all this crazy flying where he basically has to shut off the engines and just free fall in the air. And then, he ends up starting it again, and, just before they hit the ground or whatever, and he's flying through caves and everything and in between mountains. It's a pretty cool scene, but he ends up crashing ultimately. And so we get the whole, they crash land on this planet, so they're venturing out. It's all ice and everything. And then they come into contact with some pretty interesting creatures, we'll say. So at the end, it just ends up kind of a big action piece for Mando to escape the danger and to hopefully, get back up in the air and get off the planet.
Awesome end of the episode having to do with spiders. That's all I'll say about that. It was really cool. It was really interesting to see what happens to these characters. A lot different than the first episode. This is just like an adventure. They come across this planet, come across these creatures, and they have to get out of the situation, And this episode wasn't as long. I think it was only like 40 minutes. But yeah, it was pretty solid across the board. In terms of the X-Wing pilots, one of them was Dave Filoni, which has directed a bunch of the Mandalorian episodes and Clone Wars. And the other guy, he was like a Star Wars super fan, I believe. I was reading up on it. That was cast. So that's pretty sweet.
That is cool. Yeah, I love all the little, the little cameos. Even not huge names, but even the small ones are pretty cool. Yeah, I always, after I'm done with the episode, I always look online to see what I missed.
The cameos,
you can't tell half the time. Yeah. Sometimes you'll recognize a voice or something. And I did see Dave Filoni there. And at first, for some reason, I thought it was Kevin Pollak. I thought
Kevin Pollak. Yeah, it kind of looks like him.
Yeah, at first. So that makes sense that it was Dave Filoni. Yeah, and I had read about that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw him. I'm like, that's Dave Filoni. I'm pretty sure. And then I looked it up after the episode. I'm like, yep, that's pretty cool. I thought they looked awesome.
I know. I love how Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau. Well, I guess this one was directed by Peyton Reed, actually, the Ant-Man director. But I love how Jon Favreau throws all his buddies in, like Bill Burr. He's friends with him, and he threw him in obviously into the first season. So it'll be
that was a badass episode with Bill Burr.
Yeah. He should throw in Vince Vaughn,
right?
Since they're buddies. So that'd be cool to see something like that. Vince to show up somewhere. Jason Sudeikis has already been on it.
Yeah, as a stormtrooper.
Yeah. Very cool. I love the cameos. I can't wait to see some more. There's going to be some pretty awesome ones coming up. And I love the villains. Yeah, pretty much everything, especially the effects. Like that's what was really what really stood out to me in the second episode was just how good the effects are, and even the sounds and everything. It's just like they're throwing millions of dollars. They're sparing no expense for sure. Looks and sounds great. And, it's CGI, but it looks like the best CGI you've ever seen.
It looks amazing. It looks better than most movies. We watch it on the 4K TV. It looks really, really amazing. Like realistic, like that looks real. It's not like, it's obviously a green screen and, in the background. But yeah, they put the money into the effects and it works. It makes the show even more believable. You feel like you're in in a galaxy far, far away with these characters. It's really well done.
Makes you feel close to old George Lucas, the OG creator.
God bless him.
God bless him. He's loving Mandalorian because he's been getting shit on for a few years now for the latest ones and everything.
Yeah.
And whatever thing went down.
Mandalorian's successful now. It's a big pop culture phenomenon. You go everywhere. You go to Target, you go to Walmart, you see all the Baby Yoda merch and Mandalorian merch. So they're doing something right. It's making money, so I'm really excited. I could see this show going like 5 seasons. I think it would be good. Usually about the 5 seasons is about the max for any TV shows.
I agree. Yeah, hopefully they just give us, I'd take 5 strong seasons of the show for sure. Just like, they do these like kind of monster of the week, like little mini adventures that don't end up meaning a lot, throughout the whole thing, but then usually they pick up and follow the story pretty quickly. They do these standalone episodes, but yeah, hopefully the focus remains there and we get to see Giancarlo Esposito's villain again. I think he's going to be really awesome, and it'll be cool to see him actually use that saber, the lightsaber.
Cargo.
Yeah. So I can't wait to see more of him.
Maybe he'll kidnap Baby Yoda at the end too. Like big fight scene.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. Yeah, that'd up the drama and carry it on.
Like flies in. Los pollos, hermanos. Easy there, Gus.
Easy, Gus. Yeah.
Gus Fring. But yeah, I would love to see that then. Something big's going to happen.
Whatever they face, I think he's going to like show that he has the power to stop whatever,
Yeah. He's in the like last season.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever there's any danger, it's just like, all right, I'm waiting for Baby Yoda to just put up his hand and do his magic.
Yep. Those powers. The Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. No delusions with him.
No delusion with that baby, that child, that Baby Yoda. So episode 2, The Passenger. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 Maynard hair pieces.
And I'm going to give episode 2, The Passenger, a 3 out of 5 Baby Yoda shitting out egg hair pieces. So this has been Uncle Henry and Uncle Logan and our review of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1 and 2. We loved them both. The first episode a little bit more than the second episode. But we loved all the throwbacks to the original trilogies. We loved seeing these characters. These new characters we're introduced to were awesome. Timothy Oliphant was great as the Marshal. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Mate, did you love everything about the first 2 episodes?
Oh, yeah. I had a good time with it. I love the first episode a lot more than the second. Not a lot more, but more than a little bit. And love the characters they introduced. Timothy Oliphant, all the cameos, the way it was directed, cinematography, the visual effects. Seeing Baby Yoda again, Mandalorian, father-son relationship was really well done. And I can't wait to see where they go with this season. And really had a great time with it.
So we are going to do some more reviews coming up on the rest of the episodes of The Mandalorian. So stay tuned for these 2 wild guys. Hopefully we get to, see more of these characters that we love, and hopefully we'll take some notes next time and have some more details for you, just of the characters and everything.
It's a huge universe.
It's in the universe. Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones. It's hard to keep up with, but stay tuned for our reaction and our review of the next couple episodes in a couple of weeks here once they drop on Disney Plus. And until next time, from a galaxy far, far away.
Cheers!